Hey everybody, welcome to Round the Twist, episode 252. It's June 15th, 2016. Yes, Phoebe, you can come up. Come on. She was sleeping until she heard me give the opening for the show. Come on, Goober. Really? How many attempts does it take, dog? I'm not going to lift you. Here we go. Phoebe wanted to say hi. Didn't you, fat dog? Yes, you did. Come over on this side. Come on. All the way over. Yes. There. No, you don't have to lay on me. Lay next to me. I'm sorry. Next to me. It's too hot to have you laying on me, okay? Oh, I know. I'm such a mean dog, Mommy. I'm so mean. So, anyway, knitting show. Hey, how you doing? Like I was saying, episode 252. June 15th. Caramel apple coffee in my cup. It's just, oh my gosh, it's been a little bit crazy. So I haven't done a whole lot of knitting this week. I know, it's terrible. I don't need your contributions, Goober. I've basically only touched one knitting project, and that is the manly socks. So let's jump into what I have on my needles, because since it's so few things. So these are socks from my hubby, because he said he wanted another pair. It's my 72 stitch vanilla sock with a afterthought heel. I am knitting it out of Osterman Steppe. The colorway number is 24. It's like a dark blue, or a black, dark teal, and blue with a gray stripe, obviously. Second sock is finished, done. Slightly off from the first one, and I don't know what I did, because I actually counted the rows, and the rows are identical, but the second sock is just slightly more gray, and then just the very tip of the toe is black. So, meh. It's hand knitted. I think someone just fell out of their bed. They can get back in, don't worry. Yeah. So I'm knitting this up. I was using a 2.25 Addi Turbo Lace needle, but switching over to the afterthought heel, I like to do, the version that I do, I like to do on double points. And I had someone ask in the Any Questions thread that I said I'd mentioned the Crystal Afterthought heel. That is, I took a class at the Second Sock Summit in 2009 from, oh my goodness, you guys are going to make me look this up. I can't remember her name. However, if you Google Crystal, Crystal, afterthought heel, there is a pattern that she put out in Knitty, so it is available for free. Basically, rather than a typical afterthought heel, you just knit another toe, so your decreases are on the sides. Her version, that version isn't deep enough. I have a very high instep, and it's not quite deep enough for me. It strains across the top of my foot. So the Crystal Afterthought heel is just deeper. It spaces the decreases out more. So this part where you open up for the heel, rather than it looking like from here down, tacked on back here, it extends out further. I don't know a better way to describe it. But the pattern is available for free. If you Google that Crystal Afterthought heel, it should pop up. I'm sorry, I can't remember the woman's name right now. This is going to bother me, and yeah, I'll have it for you next week because I'll have been working on it. So second sock is done, and I was here working on this black stripe here. So I finished the toe and picked out my waste yarn for my afterthought heel on the first sock, and I've got it ready to go on the double points. I just need to get to a point. Let's see. Yeah, like I thought, I'm going to have to pull out quite a bit of yarn in order to get to the spot that I need to be, kind of in the middle of the gray repeat, so that my stripes are all the same width. And I'm judging by what's left of the ball, I'm not going to have a problem with that, but I didn't want to chance it. since it had been a while since I'd knit with Osterman Step. So that's the first one. Ready to go on the first Afterthought heel. And that's all riding around in my Stitched by Jessalou Rock, Paper, Scissors Lizard stock bag. It went with me up to Estes, which I'll talk about later. And now it's, yeah, ready for the bit that requires a little more concentration, but I should still be able to knit on it while hubby's gaming. Second thing that I worked on this week, thread-wise, or knitting slash crocheting-wise, I finished the last 2 snowflakes of snowflake number 12. So here it is. In fact, I finished it this morning. There's my podcaster cheat for the week. I finished snowflake number 12 by Helen Milinkovich Milton out of the 99 Snowflakes from Leisure Arts. Finished those this morning. I had 2 done before this. I finished the 3rd. There they are, all in the bag, ready to be starched at some future point. And so June 15th, and I have finished my one of my goals for the year, one of my resolutions. There we go. I did it as a knitting goal rather than a resolution. In that I wanted to knit one. Someone's trying to sneak out of his room from nap time. Gabe fell asleep on me earlier this morning, took like a 15-minute nap, and I'm thinking he thinks that's enough. And no, young man, it is not. So I had wanted to complete 3 sets of 12 snowflakes within the year. June 15th, I'm done. So I'm guessing I'm going to keep going. As of right now, I have no plans of stopping, so this will not be quite as long of a project as I was originally planning. The long-term future Christmas planning is to crochet my way through this book, making 3 of each individual snowflake, so when Tara and Gabe strike out on their own, I can present them with their own collection of snowflake ornaments to decorate with as they see fit. So, yay! That's the plan anyway. So I've been crocheting these up using Knit Crochine, it's bedspread cotton thread in the Ecru colorway. Still on the first ball of it. I do have a second ball. Yeah, someone keeps peeking out here to see if I'm still here so he can come out and watch Disney Channel. That's what's happening. And it's no fair. God, I'm awful. I'm terrible. I think it's hilarious every time he yells no fair, because he's the one saying it's no fair, not me. Never mind that he has toys and books and everything else in his room. Crocheting them up using a US 7 steel hook, which is a 1.65 millimeter hook, and which is slightly smaller than what the pattern book calls for. The pattern book actually calls for, I think it's a 1.8, I think. Yes. Which is actually a 6. If you're going off the US system. Yeah, it calls for a size 6. But I had a size 7, I didn't have a size 6, so I went from there, and it's working. And that's riding around in the exploding TARDIS bag that Amy Froggy Monkey sewed for me as a thank you for knitting her socks. So that's it for what's on my needles. I haven't touched my sweater, I haven't touched Sarah's socks. No, I take it back. I take it back. I did touch Sarah's socks. I got home from work last night. Hubby and I took our dinner. Once the kids were in bed, we went downstairs so he could play some more Witcher 3 and the Blood and Wine expansion DLC. And I took the bag down with me thinking, okay, I have to look up how to do that afterthought heel on his socks. So I don't want to do that. But the pattern for Sarah's socks is in the bag and I can just pull it out. And as tired as I felt, I should have realized that nothing was going to happen. I had the bag sitting on my lap. I was wedged in by a dog on either side of me. Hubby was playing his game and I didn't do any knitting. I had every intention of knitting. It just didn't happen. I got warm, I got comfortable, and I dozed off. So, not for lack of action in the game. The game is actually really, really good. Hubby's been working on a lot of side quests and collecting the Grandmaster crafted levels of armor, which I believe he's got all of them now, so he started back onto the main quest, which he hasn't even touched the main quest. As soon as he got all the secondary quests, he went off on those and went exploring all through the country that was revealed in this expansion, and he's really enjoying it. So if you have a gamer hubby, or if you yourself are a gamer and you enjoy, I'd call it fantasy, because there's a lot of magic and alchemy and monsters and dragons, and I think there was a djinn in one of them, and I don't even remember, vampires and golems and gargoyles and all kinds of fantastical beasts. The soundtrack is amazing. This is Witcher 3, and we are on the second expansion pack. I can't remember what the first one was called. This one is called Blood and Wine. And they've all, I mean, the story, I think the story is amazing, and you can advance the story in different directions depending on the actions that you take. So it's very much a choose your own adventure game. It's kind of fun. And I've been playing the role of, here, let me look up how to beat that one, when he's having difficulty with stuff. So that's where we're at. That's everything that I've worked on knitting and crocheting wise. I have had a couple days, not much, but a couple days to work on the Once Upon a Time sampler. So we're moving on to Pokey Things. This is the Once Upon a Time sampler from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery that I've been working on forever. And I'm working on October now. I'll just flip this up so I can see what's going on here. I'd had the majority of the vine done last time, and the grass, and that's pretty much all I'd had done along with the border. I managed to finish the pumpkin coach, both colors, so yay, pumpkins. I got the wheels and the finial on top done, and this little gold line right there, yeah, that's the fairy godmother's wand. So the fairy godmother's going to kind of sit up in this corner, and we'll be moving on. I've still got to put curtains in the windows of the coach and Cinderella herself. I actually need to bring out the gold color of the wheels some more and do the handle on the door of the coach, because I missed that until I had everything put away and I went, poop, that's only 6 stitches. I should have done that. Oh well. But I got quite a bit done. I'm happy with it. And then there's the various sparkles and stars from all the magic from the fairy godmother that will go around the coach. So, a few more days and October will be done. I'm trying to remember. I think Little Red Riding Hood is November, and then Hansel and Gretel is December. And part of the reason that I stopped on the border down over here, number one, I didn't run out of thread. I ran out of the thread that I had cut that I was stitching with. But here in the middle, what's going to be the center of November, there's just a line, like similar to the frame around Once Upon a Time here at the top. And on the original, now this was their monthly stitch-along, mystery stitch-along that they did for 2014. So the pattern has that line and then the year 2014 in there. Well, I don't want to do 2016 because I've been stitching it more than just this year. And I don't necessarily want to do 2013, which was the year Tara was born, because it wasn't out yet. So I had seen people in various places. Obviously people modify the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery patterns all the time to suit them. I've been stitching this pretty bang on with the pattern. Some people change the princesses to look like the Disney princesses. I'm not that creative, but the thing I wanted to do, since Once Upon a Time is at the top, I want to put, like some people have done, put the end at the bottom. Since start to finish, it's the whole year, it's the end of the tale. And don't all fairy tales end with the end? That's classic fairy tale ending. So, or they all lived happily ever after, but I can't fit happily ever after into that. So the end works for me. I just need to go online and find, either on Instagram or Ravelry or the Facebook Frosted Pumpkin group, find a picture of someone who has done that, and then I'll just be able to chart it out myself. So that's the plan that's coming up, and I'm kind of how I wait till the end of every month, like finish the month block and then stitch the month name. That's kind of how I finish every block. I think I'm gonna do the pink and the blue border the whole way around, finish the whole year, and then stitch the end as it's the end of the project. It seems fitting. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm overthinking everything. No one's gonna care besides me. It doesn't matter. And anyway, so let's move on to Various and Sundry since I'm starting to babble. Okay. Estes Wool Market. The recap. We only went up on Saturday, and honestly, we were only there about 2.5, 3 hours. So if you were looking for me the rest of Saturday or at all on Sunday, I'm very, very sorry. I saw a few people. I saw Jess, Show Me Your Knits, almost right away. We'd only been in the vendor barn and at the Wool Market maybe 5 minutes and ran into her in the aisles. Irish Diva, my friend Kate, and her sister and her sister's little boy. We ran into them and hung out with them for the time that we were there, and then went out to eat for lunch in downtown Estes at a restaurant called The Wapiti, and had some very good burgers and good conversation, and we had a lot of fun. Sorry. We went through all the animal barns. We saw sheepdogs and llamas and alpacas, and the kids went nuts for the goats and the sheep. They thought they were, well, Tara thought they were wonderful. Gabe kind of hung back and wasn't too sure until Daddy had to show him that it's okay, that they're not going to hurt you, just come slow and you can pet them, and then he thought it was pretty cool. So we went through all the barns. We went through the vendor market twice. Just a really quick run through the first time right when we got there. And then a second time, Kate and I kind of walked on ahead of hubby with the twins and her sister with her little one. And I may be saturated on wool markets. I hate to say that because there were some beautiful things there. I can't even remember the names of a ton of the places, but I went into quite a few booths to look, but a lot of it, I don't know how to describe it. It's like I've been knitting for a while, and I know I have a fairly well-curated stash. Yes, it's several years old, and yes, I do still buy things and contribute to it, but I kept looking at stuff and going, ooh, that's pretty, but do I need it, or do I have something like it at home? And obviously, I didn't buy anything, so 100% of the time the answer is I have something like it at home. There was one booth I went in that had some beautiful antler buttons that I really kind of wanted to get, but then when I looked at them closer, the holes really weren't drilled big enough for me to sew them on a sweater. So that was kind of disappointing. Like I would have had trouble getting a needle through the holes that were drilled, and I don't want a chance trying to re-drill them myself and cracking the button, having spent money on them. So I left without getting anything. Nothing. Yeah. It's kind of sad, actually. Like I said, there were beautiful things. There was wonderful vendors there. Gorgeous items to be had. The fleece sale was moved. Fleece judging and sale was moved. It was behind the grandstands last year. It was moved down to like a side room on the vendor barn, the events center. Excuse me, the vendor barn. It's the vendor barn. So they had the fleeces that were for sale rather than being in one large room with the judging. The judging was kind of in an enclosed porch off to one side, and then if the fleeces were for sale, you could go out the side of the vendor barn through this kind of half-open garage door. And they had a sign saying, if you want a fleece and you want to buy one, here are the prize-winning ones that are for sale. And you could just go in there and buy your fleece, which was kind of cool. But yeah, that's really it. We drove down, got home late afternoon, put the kids down for kind of a very, very late nap because they didn't sleep that much on the ride home. Fed them a quick dinner, and then they were off to bed, and they were bushed from being there all day. And that's really it. That's everything from Estes. I didn't do a whole lot, only spent a couple hours there. Oh, and I met LB, who's a friend of Wendy Knits. She came up from Virginia specifically for the wool market and spent some time up at Rocky Mountain National Park as well. Saw her within like the last 5 minutes of us being at the wool market. Neither one of the babies are sleeping today. This is going to be interesting. Okay, moving on. My pattern that I put out, the progression shawl. Thank you everyone who has purchased it. It is still up on Ravelry for sale if you'd like to buy it. It's the progression shawl. If you go over to my profile off of the Ravelry board, you can see it's like my original designs. You can click on that and it'll take you over to the project page for it, or the pattern page, excuse me. Really, honestly, it's a fairly simple knit. It's pretty intuitive. My test knitters and the people that have started knitting it have said, yeah, it's once you get it, the majority of people have said once you get it, don't hardly even have to look at the pattern anymore. And that's what I wanted. I wanted something easy. I wanted something you could pick up and put down, but something that still had some visual interest. It's good for gradients. It's good for handspun. I've seen a couple people start it with handspun that they've had in their stash. It says fingering weight and worsted weight on it. However, you can convert it to any weight that you want. The key to it is you do want your fabric to drape. So whatever needle size your yarn calls for, I'd go up at least 2 sizes of needle. Like for a fingering weight yarn, I went up to a size 5. A US 5, which don't ask me what the metric is. I'm drawing a blank at the moment. But if you'd like to purchase, it's still available. Will continue to be available for the foreseeable future. Okay, last thing, any questions? Let's see, sorry. Okay, first one is from Pukaraya. P-O-O-K-R-K-A-R-I-A-H. Hi Karen, I'm a nurse too. Many of my coworkers ask me to just knit something for them without understanding what goes into a hand knitted item. How do you deal with these types of requests? I'll admit my method is probably rather rude. And I usually look at them and say, you couldn't afford it. And probably not the best. They usually look at me kind of funny, and because they're always like, I had a nurse years ago that was like, oh, I want you to knit me socks too. And I'm like, you couldn't afford it. Well, how much would it be? And I lead off with the yarn itself. A skein of sock yarn is $30. Well, I can afford that. And I'm like, my time is worth something. And at the time, and this was years ago, I said, minimum, I want, for my time, I want 3 to 4 times the cost of the yarn. Let's just say 3 times the cost of the yarn. And that's not even paying myself minimum wage for the hours I'm putting into it. That's, say the yarn is $30, then my time is 3 times the cost of the yarn. That's $120. Well, I'm not going to pay that for a pair of socks. I'm like, exactly. So don't bother asking me. And then and that's for a basic pair of socks. If you want something more intricate, if you want a big lace shawl, if you want this, the price goes up. Like minimum, if you want a circular lace shawl, something like Even Star that has beads on it, minimum, I think if I did another one of those, I'd probably charge $300 to $400 if someone wanted to commission me to do something like that. And I know there are people that would be willing to pay, but then there's also, you want it by a deadline, that's going to cost more. You want it this way, or you want it that way, or if I get partway through and you change your mind, no, you're still going to pay me for this. Because I've put the time into it, you're still going to pay me for it. And definitely, whatever you do, if you do end up doing commission pieces, I would say number 1, half up front. Not that I don't trust people, but honestly, I know people who have been burned by this. Have them give you half the money up front, and do not deliver the finished item until they pay you the rest of the money. That would be with anything, not just knitting or crochet, not just handicraft stuff. That I would do that for any woodworking thing, for if I was doing cooking or anything, have them, oh my goodness, what are they doing? I would have someone put down a deposit at least, and then do not, until they pay the remainder, I wouldn't deliver the finished item. My advice, maybe I'm mean, but yeah. I also don't do commission knitting. I did once for the Unique Sheep. I knit them that Even Star shawl, and I don't enjoy doing that. I don't like having deadline knitting. I like to be able to do things at my own pace and not feel stressed about it. And when you have coworkers or people around say, oh, you could make money off of this, and it's like, yeah, no. Then it becomes work instead of a hobby, and it ceases to be fun. It's like I've said with this show, when it ceases to be fun, when it becomes work, that's when I quit. That's when I'm done. I don't want my hobby to be my life. I mean, I think if I was a stay-at-home mom, it would be something different. It's just like I try to separate myself from work when I'm not there. I definitely try to compartmentalize my life. So work is over here and my crafting happens at this time. That's why I so zealously guard nap time because that's the main time I have for me, to recharge my batteries, to get stuff done for me, the knitting, the cross stitch. I might be working on things for other people, but it's my time to recharge my batteries. Sorry, kind of a long, rambly answer to how do I deal with it. I tell them they can't afford me. And that's about it. Yeah. One more, from Deep Blue Renegade. And this is appropriate. I just finished a huge fleece to sweater project, like bought the fiber in 2013 big. Whatever happened to Millie? Will the fleece ever make an appearance again? Yes. Millie moved with us because heck, I've put so much time between washing and carding and the spinning that I have done on it. Yes, Millie made the move. It did not get given away. For those of you who may have been a more recent viewer, haven't gone back through all the old shows or don't have access to them because I haven't put them up on iTunes again yet. Millie is a beautiful gray CVM fleece that I bought at one of, I think it was the second Estes Wool Market that I came out to with my mom. And I washed it all myself, alternately. Some of it I did on the stovetop. The majority of it, when I got sick of doing itty bitty little batches and felt like it was taking forever, I did the rest in my top loader washer, which I can't do anymore because I have a front loader washer. So this was back in Omaha, and then my dad had purchased me a drum carder for Christmas one year. And he loves that because he loves to be the crank turner. And he helped me drum card all of that fleece. Once I had, well, excuse me, I went through and I did flick carding each individual lock, and then we sent it through the drum carder. So I've got a lot of fleece that is ready to spin. Unfortunately, I have small people that like to stick their fingers into moving parts and get their hand whacked. So I haven't had time to spin. I can't even leave my wheels out up here. They have to be downstairs in a baby-free zone. And since I haven't shown anything on my wheel in months, literally months, I think January might have been the last time that I've spun on anything. It's gonna be a while, but I'm determined to spin more. I miss spinning, and that might be the next thing that I work on while hubby's doing his gaming, since all of my other stuff isn't as mindless as I need it to be to help him with his games. So yeah, Millie is down in the basement in my craft room. I have all the fleece that I spun a couple of years ago, the singles that I spun. And will the fleece ever make a reappearance again? Yes, eventually. I am not even going to speculate on a timeline on when I'll get back to spinning Millie, but it will happen. So there you have it. And let's see, anything else? I don't think so. I think that's it. So everyone, until next week, happy knitting.